Hello, my name is JD, also known as JD Beauty, and on this channel we talk about things beauty, and today we're back with another Glam Gore video. Before we get on to what movie we're talking about, let's just get all the usual stuff out of the way. I do have plenty of new subscribers, but no public accounts, somehow. Not a single one. Not a single public account. So, thanks, strangers, whoever you people are. My face is breaking out a little bit. I got pimples. I got a couple of, things going on. Extra stuff here on my lip. I don't too much care though. Stuff happens in life. Your skin's never really gonna be perfect, and if it is, it's not gonna be like that for long. With today's Glam Gore video, we will be going over the movie Alien, 1979, I think. I'm pretty sure it's 79. Alien is the first of many movies under the same franchise. Alien is technically a horror movie. It is a horror sci-fi, and it follows a crew in space as they are supposed to be delivering something from point A to point B, and then they're heading back to Earth. But for some reason, when they're woken from their cryopods, they find out that they are not even anywhere near Earth, and hijinks ensue, Without further ado, my hair is already back. That means it's only time to take our glasses off and make my screen very large so I can see my script. The movie begins with a shot of outer space as we see the credits begin to roll, the opening credits, along with the title card very slowly, and I do mean very slowly, materializing. And very slowly is a great way to describe this entire movie. Great movie, great movie. Not saying that it's not, I would never say that it's not. However, wow is it slow, But it's a 70s movie. Most 70s movies are incredibly slow. We see words flash across the screen as it details all of the information that we will need to know about the ship that we'll be following through the rest of the movie. The ship is called the Nostromo. I'm not great at pronouncing some things. I'm great at spelling, but then that's what happens when you grow up reading a lot. You're really good at spelling and really bad at pronouncing what you're spelling. Anyway, it says that this ship has 7 crew members. Their cargo is 20 million tons of mineral ore. Wow. And their course is back to Earth. Yeah, I just read that off the... It's one of those days, It's one of those days. The camera pans inside of the ship, and we get a very slow pan throughout all of the ship and its wares, all of its super high technology of the 70s, even though I think this is supposed to take place in like 2030. That is so much closer than you think it is. The future, time of enhancements and space travel and robots and all this fun stuff. We see a door open, and inside of this door, we are met by the sight of some cryopods, aka the stuff that freezes you when you go into outer space. The cryopods all open up, and we get a scene of several male crewmates and 2 female crewmates as they all wake up and make their way into, I guess, like the kitchen area of the ship. I don't know, I've never been on a ship, have you guys? And this is where we get to meet all of the members of this crew. And I'll just remind everyone that I'm no longer doing the step-by-step introductions as their names are said, because old movies take a long time to introduce their characters by name. Within the crew sitting at this table, we have Captain Dallas, Executive Officer Kane, Engineering Technician Brett, Chief Engineer and our only black person on this ship, Parker, Navigator, and one of only 2 women on this ship, Lambert. And then finally we have our main character and the other only woman on the ship, Ripley. I wanted to do a thing where I wear merch of every show or movie that I watch or talk about on here. I started it with Halloween, and then I didn't have anything for Chucky, and then I wanted to do wear my Scream shirt when I covered Scream, and I forgot. I didn't have anything for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I did do the makeup. So now I'm just I don't have any Alien merch, so I decided to just try my best to dress up as Ripley. I thought, in my heart of hearts, that I had a jumpsuit like the one that she wears, but I guess I gaslit myself into believing that, because I totally do not. So now I'm just wearing a white tank top and some overalls. It's kind of giving more like Alien to Ripley, who's played by Sigourney Weaver, who is known for many amazing roles, but wouldn't be me if I didn't know her exclusively from another sci-fi role, which was when she played Grace in Avatar. From here on out, please ignore the way that the back of my mirror looks. I need to get myself a little palette thing to mix my foundation. Oh, also, there's a guy named Ash. Don't know why I forget him, but probably because he's a pretty boring character. Anyway, his name is Ash, and he's there too. The crew just kind of talks around the table for a while. At the table, Parker and Brett are talking about potentially getting a bonus in their pay, but before they can really get too far into that, Ash tells Dallas that Mother wishes to speak to him. Mother is the like supercomputer that controls the ship. Supercomputer of the 70s. While Dallas talks to Mother, we flash back to the rest of the crew as Lambert attempts to try to find the navigations back to Earth or whatever. I don't know what she's doing, you know, I don't know navigations, that's her job, not mine. But as she's trying to find Earth on the little system computer thingy, she realizes that she can't see Earth. While Lambert struggles to figure out where they are, Ripley tries to contact Earth, but she gets no response. After a few failed attempts to make contact, Lambert says that she did in fact find Earth, but it's nowhere near them. They're way further off than they should be. The crew gather around again as Dallas comes back to explain that Mother said that the reason they're off course is because they received a transmission from some planet. While everyone reminds Dallas that they are not a rescue ship, they are a cargo ship, Ash takes the time to remind everyone that they are obligated to check out any potential intelligent life forms. And so the ship sets off in the general direction of the transmission. After like 10 minutes of long 70s montage scenes, the ship very roughly lands. Very rough landing. Parker and Brett explain that they are stranded for a while until they can fix everything, and they discover that they have no outside contact with anyone, even though they already didn't have outside contact with anyone. But the only thing that they can contact or receive contact from is the transmission from this planet. Kane volunteers to go explore the planet, and then also volunteers Lambert to go with him. So Kane, Lambert, and also Captain Dallas all head out together to go attempt to find the general location of the transmission that they're receiving. Dallas leads the crew across this planet, following the transmission thingy until they eventually stumble upon what looks like a large, misshapen, potentially crash-landed ship. Once they make it inside of this ship, what they find is a large, very dead creature, just the skeleton of it, and it's sitting in this weird chair thing. It almost looks like it's looking out of a telescope. That's the best way I can describe it. They say that it looks like the creature basically morphed into the chair. Upon closer inspection, they see that it looks like the creature's cause of death was something bursting outwards from its bones. They see that the bones are bent outwards, meaning that something exploded from within it. Upon seeing this, Lambert suggests that they just go back to the ship, and she is completely ignored, of course, because she's a woman, and instead Kane leads everyone deeper into the ship. We briefly flash back to the human ship, where the rest of our main characters are, as Ripley tells Ash that Mother deciphered that the transmission they were getting was actually not an SOS message, but a warning message, aka don't come here, go that way. But Ash says there's no point in trying to tell them because by the time we get the message to the alien ship crew, they're probably gonna already know that it was a warning. We then flash right back to the alien ship crew as Kane descends down into a cavern of some sort within the ship, I think. I'm pretty sure they're still in the ship. Once Kane has descended down into the weird alien cave thing, he tells everyone what he's seeing, which is what appears to be some eggs in a trench within the cave, and it seems like the eggs are covered by like a layer of mist. Anyway, he completely slips into the trench of eggs, which, you know, you should already know that's not good. Instead of trying to fight his way out of that trench, because that's what I would do, he instead decides to investigate these eggs. I'm sure assuming that they're fossilized completely, because the ship is old and the skeleton that they found was fossilized. So that means that these eggs should be not capable of survival. Kane flashes his light onto these eggs and he sees that within them, or at least the one that he's looking at, there is life, there's movement. He continues to stand incredibly close to this egg as the top of it sprouts open like a flower, like blooms. And then he looks inside, he sees a little creature in there, just kind of like skin-like and whatnot. In the bow, creature at the face, and then Camera cuts away. Captain Dallas and Lambert carry Kane back to the ship, and they're like, hey, let us in. Something's wrong with Kane. There's something attached to him. And Ripley, from within the ship, is like, hey, if there's something attached to him, we can't let him in because that could infect the entire ship with whatever that thing possibly is. You guys have to go into quarantine. Dallas is like, hey, I'm ordering you to open up. We could lose Kane. And Ripley is like, yeah, we could lose all of us if we let you in without quarantining you. Dallas says, I'm ordering you to open up again. Ripley says negative, and then Ash opens up the door anyway. Once inside of the infirmary, they take the time to saw the helmet off of Kane's head, and that reveals the creature in its full self, as it is just like suctioned onto his face, just completely covering him. And it has a little tail, and the tail keeps tightening around his neck, really trying to secure itself in there. You know, it already has its little mandibles dug into its face, and then it has a tail that, like, he's very secure. Very secure. Realizing that they probably can't get the creature off, well, pry it off without harming Kane, they decide to just put Kane in an x-ray and see what he looks like on the inside. From the x-ray, they can see that this creature has something tube-like just shoved down Kane's throat. That's unfortunate. And Ash theorizes that maybe the creature is feeding him oxygen to keep him alive. Dallas is like, so why keep him alive if you're gonna keep him in this comatose state anyway? Dallas decides that the best course of action is to just cut the mandibles off of this thing, the little legs that's digging into Kane's head, to try to tear it off that way. But the second he goes in to cut it, it starts to bleed, and the blood is acidic, and it starts to burn through everything, straight through the floor. The crew basically chase after it, I guess. They run down each floor to watch it bleed through to make sure it's not going all the way through, because that will very much be the death of them if it does. But luckily for them, it stops at a certain point. Back in the infirmary, Ash is still checking on Kane and this specimen as Ripley comes in to talk to him. Ash acts incredibly suspiciously as Ripley questions him on why he decided to let Dallas, Lambert, and Kane back in despite the quarantine rules of contact with alien species and whatnot, I guess. I don't know. Ash is like, well, I was following a direct order from my captain, and Ripley reminds him that when Dallas and Kane are not on the ship, she is acting not captain, officer something, senior officer. She's senior officer when they're gone or whatever. Ripley is basically like, because you decided to break the rules, you risked everyone's life, so if we all die, it's on you. She doesn't say that, but that's what I read from the interaction. Sometime later, Ash contacts Dallas and says, hey, come back to the infirmary. He's like, why? And Ash is like, just come back, please. So Dallas and Ripley return to the infirmary to see that the creature is completely gone from Kane's face, but also just completely gone, so they have to find that. They lock themselves up in the infirmary to make sure that the creature doesn't escape, and then they search the area for the creature. While they're all looking, the creature decides to just do a quick little jump scare, terrify the life out of Ripley real quick as it drops from the ceiling into her, or onto like her shoulder. I was gonna say into her lap. I think it hits her body, and then she just like tosses it onto the ground, and it curls up on the ground like a spider when it's dead. Horrible. Ash takes the creature and starts to examine it, and while he does that, he's like, yeah, we're gonna need to take this back to Earth, because it's the first sign of alien life or whatever, and we gotta, take it back with us and examine it. And Ripley's like, hey, maybe we shouldn't do that. It has acid blood. Maybe we shouldn't take that back to Earth. But of course, she is a woman and she's ignored, and Dallas tells Ash that he has permission to do whatever he wants to do. Dallas tries to walk off, and Ripley follows him. She's like, I'm not trying to change your mind or anything. I'm just trying to figure out why you would give him this permission when you know that thing is clearly dangerous. It bleeds acid. Dallas says, like, that's not my jurisdiction, really. Anything that has to do with science is up to him. That's the science guy. I'm not the science guy. I'm just the captain. Science stuff is up to the science guy. If he says that we need to take it back to Earth, then that's up to him. His jurisdiction. Ripley is like, well, where'd you get this guy anyway? How long have you been working with him? And Dallas says, well, prior to this mission, I had a different science guy. I can't remember what his actual title is, so he's just science guy now. I had a different science guy, but 2 days before this mission began, I got saddled up with Ash. Ripley's like, I don't trust him. And Dallas is like, I don't trust anyone, because I'm a man and I'm brooding and blah, blah, blah. With repairs finally done, The little ship that they were on, the like shuttle ship, obviously they didn't land the whole ship on the planet. The shuttle ship is up and moving, and they return back to the mothership. Back on the mothership, Parker suggests that they just throw Kane in a cryopod and hope that whatever disease he has with him freezes with him in there. Dallas says we have to quarantine Kane, and Ripley says we have to quarantine all of us because somebody decided to let them back on without quarantining. Lambert does some navigator calculation stuff and says that they have a good 10 months before they make it back to Earth, and everyone's like, oh great. While that happens, Ash tells Dallas, again, to come check on Kane. He refuses to ever just say like what's happening. He's just like, oh, just come see. Just come see. It'll be easy if you just come see. It'll be easier if you just tell me what's happening. The whole crew goes back to the infirmary where we see that Kane is awake now. He's up and he's moving and he's confused. They're like, hey, what do you remember? What's the last thing you remember? And he's like, I was in a cave, and then there was this weird dream of suffocating. Other than that, I don't know. I also don't know if they ever tell him that there was a whole alien on his face. I don't like, because he doesn't seem to remember that part. But also, we don't have a scene of anyone telling him like, oh yeah, there was an alien on you and we had to like get it off of you. Overall, Kane seems okay. He seems nice and healthy after being choked out by an alien. So they go to celebrate and eat because he's starving. So they all sit around and start to eat together. And while they're eating, Kane starts to cough and choke. And he stands up and then he flops down onto the table. And everyone's like, oh, that's not good. Once he falls into the table, Kane starts to jerk and convulse. He's just shaking up a storm. He's definitely got some problems going on. Everyone tries to hold him down and stop him from shaking, but through his shaking and screaming, he stops when a sudden burst of blood comes from him straight through his chest, and then he starts shaking again, and then his whole chest just bursts open. From this hole in his chest, we get to see a small alien creature. Not the same alien creature that was previously attached to his face, but it is a byproduct of that creature. Now this is where I get to give you guys another little lesson, kind of like the lesson I gave you in the first Saw, where I explained that Jigsaw and Billy the Puppet are not the same person. The creature that we saw attached to Kane's face is called a face hugger because it hugs his face. And that creature puts a weird little appendage down people's throat, such as Kane, and impregnates them, and then that little embryo that proceeds to grow inside of the person, the host, which in this scenario was Kane. Then it grows and it bursts out from the incubator, aka person, aka Kane, and that creature is called a chest burster. It's a little guy. Also, the puppet looks great for this little guy. The chest burster is not the final form of this creature, but we will get to that when we get there. This little alien creature looks around and then just sprints off. And everyone's like, oh, well, there it goes. The crew takes a moment to have a oddly, like, just unemotional funeral for their friend and crewmate who just had a creature explode from his chest in front of them. Ash is like, does anyone have any final words to say? And no one speaks, and then Dallas just steps up and launches him out into space, launches his little body out there. He launches out so fast. I thought it would be like more cinematic and dramatic, but no, he's just like the body taken care of. They then decide that it's time to look for that little creature guy. They break off into two teams. Team one is Dallas, Lambert, and Ash, and then team two is Ripley, Kane, no, he's dead, Ripley, Parker, and Brett. This is also the part of the movie where I realized that my homie Parker, black man, he's chewing something in every scene he's in. He is always chewing on something. It is as annoying as you would assume. Using a tracking device that Ash apparently just has on hand, the two teams go off into the ship and they use this tracking device that tracks movements. They follow the signal of this movement into a room, they being Team Ripley. They follow the movement into a room and they say, all right. They stumble upon a locker. That's where the movement is coming from. So they're like, all right, we're gonna open up the locker and then we're gonna bag it. We're just gonna grab it. That's gonna be it. So they count down 1, 2, 3. They open up the locker. The cat runs out. Apparently there was a cat on the ship the whole time. Ripley and Parker are like, grab it. And Brett lets the cat run away. And they're like, why didn't you grab it? And he's like, it was a cat, not an alien. They're like, well, now it's gonna keep on setting off our sensor. So you go and find the cat. Brett goes off to find the cat that apparently is named Jonesy, which of course means that we get a very long 70s scene, just uncut, of this man walking through the ship, well, the underbelly of the ship, and calling Jonesy's name. He's like, hey, here, kitty, 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 kitty. When he does eventually find this kitty, 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 he calls out and he's like, hey, come here. And Jonesy starts to step out, but then the cat sees something behind Brett and steps back. Brett's like, hey, calm down, guy, come on. Nothing's wrong. I'm trying to help you. Just come back out. And then we see as a very large alien starts to stand up behind him. Previous to this scene, forgot to mention, Brett found the shedded skin of the alien, the chest burster, which of course means if a creature sheds skin, that means they got bigger. The alien got a lot bigger. This phase of the alien evolution is called the xenomorph. The alien is just drooling all over the place, and as we get a good look at it, and then our last view of both the alien and Brett is as the alien opens up its mouth and shows off a weird second mouth inside of its mouth, and the little mouth inside of its mouth goes like and just like cracks Brett's skull open. The alien takes Brett's body and climbs up the air shaft. We flash back to the crew, and I guess Ripley and Parker totally saw that whole scene happening, because they're like, the alien was huge. It grabbed Brett and it just took off with him. Where were you guys when that happened, by the way? I thought you guys sent him off on his own. That was the whole point. Anyway, they saw the alien, nope, wrong one. They saw the alien take Brett's body, and they say that, like, yeah, it's most likely using the air ducts to get around. The crew comes up with a plan to possibly capture and kill the alien, which basically just involves one of them going into the vents to try to track it down, and they close all the vents to make sure that it can't, like, loop around, blah blah blah, etc., etc. Dallas tries to ask Mother for help with the situation, but to every question he asks, she just says, does not compute. That's suspicious. Dallas goes into the vents, and the rest of the team just kind of tracks him and the alien around the vents as they try to lead Dallas to the alien so he can block him off. And I think he had a flamethrower. He was gonna, like, burn it. Oh yeah, because they decided to use their base knowledge of creatures and try to use fire to burn it. Dallas goes to the vents, led by the voice of Lambert, as she is tracking both him and the potential movements of the alien through the ducts. However, Lambert loses the alien. She can't see moving anymore. After she tells Dallas to go down into a certain section, Dallas is looking around and he's like, well, I don't see it here. And she's like, it says it's right there. And he's like, I don't see it. And then she catches the signal of the alien again, and it's just moving right at him. And Lambert is like, Dallas, just turn back, just turn back. It's coming right at you. And he's like, being a man, not listening and trying to go straight into danger, you know? So instead of turning back, he goes in the direct direction of the alien. And if you assume that Dallas dies in this scene, yeah, he definitely very much dies in this scene. We flash back to the rest of the crew, the surviving crewmates, as they try to figure out what to do without Dallas. Also, Lambert's eyes are scarily blue. They're very blue. It's freaking me out, and I didn't know this until this exact scene where she's just like kind of like freaking out a little bit. With Ripley now the new acting captain of the ship, with Dallas and Kane very dead, she devises a new plan, basically the same plan but different, I guess, I don't know. And then she goes off to question Mother. After a few manual override commands and whatnot, which apparently Dallas didn't do because he didn't get this information, Ripley finds out that Mother says that Ash's initiative was to bring the alien life form back to Earth. Everyone else's life is completely expendable. They can all die as long as Ash gets the alien back to Earth. As Ripley finds out this information, Ash just shows up behind Ripley. That's not scary or freaky at all. Ash says that he can explain the situation. Ripley does not want an explanation. Instead, she pushes him away and then storms off. She tries to contact Parker and Lambert, but before she can get too far, she's stopped by the door closing. She realizes that Ash closed the door on her before she can get too far. So she's like, Ash, open the door. He does not respond. So she goes to the next door. He closes that one as well. She walks up on Ash and is like, open the door. Let me out, you freak. And Ash is just standing there motionless. And then he attacks her. He just starts tossing her around the room, tossing her into walls and all this type of stuff, being quite rough with the lady. Ash tosses Ripley onto a bed and then proceeds to just, for some reason, I'm not entirely sure why, proceeds to grab a magazine. He rolls it up and then he stuffs it into her mouth. Not entirely sure what the route was here. Suffocation maybe, but her nose was still open. I don't know. Either way, Parker and Lambert come in and they try to get him off of her, but Ash is just like extremely strong. He isn't easy to get off of her, but eventually, after some struggle, Parker just comes back and knocks Ash up in the head. Ash just starts to like tweak out. He's just tweaking. He's freaking out. He's making all these noises. He's like convulsing and thrashing around the room and stuff. Parker takes another swing at him, and this time, Ash's head comes off. Not completely, but it's off. And he starts bleeding white. Yeah, this is the scene where we find out that Ash was a robot. But it's not one of those situations where like I just didn't know. No, it's like the whole plot is that no one knew that he was a robot. It takes a few more hits to fully get him down, but eventually Ash is knocked out, dead, I guess, or unconscious. As dead as a robot can be, I suppose. His decapitated body does jerk around one more time, but that's when he's like fully put down. We cut to a scene of Ripley fixing up Ash's decapitated head so she can question him, while Parker's like, why would the company send us a robot? Follow-up question, why would they not tell us that they were sending a robot? I'd also like to remind everyone that Ash's blood is white and he's covered in it. That's all I'll say. After fixing up Ash enough to the point of him at least being able to speak, they power him back up, and then they begin to question him. Ash says that his main priority is to bring the alien back to Earth under any circumstances, and that all other people on the ship do not matter. Ash says there's absolutely no way to kill the alien because it is a perfect specimen. It basically evolved itself to not die. Ripley unplugs Ash, removing him from this movie forever, and then turns to the rest of the remaining team, which is just Parker and Lambert, and says that the new plan is that we're all gonna get inside of the shuttle and then we're gonna blow the ship up. That's it. That's the whole plan now. Parker's like, as long as it means that we kill this thing, I do not care what the plan is. Parker and Lambert go to get the shuttle ready, while Ripley goes to grab the cat that I, by this point, completely forgot was on the ship. Ripley gets the cat, Parker and Lambert start fueling the ship, and then Lambert pauses and looks up in fear. And then from the other side of the ship, Ripley can hear Parker screaming at Lambert to get out of the way as we watch the alien standing up in front of her looking like a man in a suit. Lambert is completely frozen in fear, and because she won't move out of the way, that causes Parker to just run at them. And of course, you know, Lambert gets Parker killed. They probably both would have died anyway, but like, she just wouldn't move. Ripley finds their bodies and then goes running off to try to activate the self-destruct on the ship so that she can get into the shuttle and just bounce. The ship starts to announce that it will automatically self-destruct in 10 minutes, was it? I didn't write down the time. It says that it will automatically self-destruct unless she overrides it. I thought that was the point. I thought she wanted to self-destruct it, but maybe she didn't want it to automatically self-destruct. Maybe she wanted to press the button. I don't know. If she doesn't override the self-destruct automatic thing, then it's just going to keep counting down and she just has to get off the ship as quickly as she can, or else she dies. That's my best explanation. Like, that's all I got for you. Anyway, after failing to turn off the automatic self-destruct thingy thing, Mother announces that she now has 5 minutes to evacuate the ship before she is murdered to death. Ripley picks up Jonesy and then runs back to the cockpit where she locks herself in there, and Mother says you have 1 minute to evacuate the ship before everything goes boom. Ripley sets the shuttle off, and she and Jonesy just shoot off into space together in just enough time for them to, well, for Ripley, I don't think Jonesy was watching. He might have been though, I wasn't paying attention. But anyway, they get away in enough time for Ripley to watch as the ship explodes with all of the bodies of her friends, and hopefully also the alien. Satisfied with this ending, Ripley decides to show up into the cryopod. She puts Jonesy in there. She closes Jonesy into the cryopod, and then she goes to start undressing herself so that she can get into her own cryopod. And I would just like to point out that she has on the absolute lowest riding, low-rise panties I've ever seen in my life. Imagine the lowest ride underwear you have, and imagine them lower. As Ripley is preparing everything for her to go into cryosleep, a arm suddenly sticks out from a shelf, I guess. I don't really know where this guy was hiding at, but the alien's in there. The alien obviously was not on the ship. It was just hiding in the cockpit, I guess, and she never saw it. Ripley hides off to the side and then slowly while keeping an eye on the alien steps into a spacesuit. After managing to successfully and quietly get her suit on, spacesuit, Ripley tries, I don't know what she's doing in this scene. I think she's trying to freeze the alien. Like, there's like mist stuff blasting out. I don't know things. I'm not a scientist, I just work here. Whatever she's trying to do, it doesn't really work. The alien just kind of like runs out at her. Or maybe it does work. Maybe that was part of the plan. I don't know, because I don't know what she was doing. I don't know. It's the only thing about sci-fi movies. You just don't know what they're doing because it's sci-fi. Either way, whether that was on purpose or, part of the plan or not, Ripley then attempts to shoot the alien out of the ship. She opens up the door. The alien goes blasting out, but it's attached to something. Don't know what. I didn't write it down and I don't remember. But it's attached to some type of wire. She shuts the door again and it's just like hanging out there by the wire thingy. And then it digs its tail into the side of the ship and it climbs up. While the alien is hanging on outside for dear life, it proceeds to climb up and it tries to climb back inside of the ship through the thrusters, which don't know if that's possible, but it's trying. Once the alien is inside of that thruster, Ripley sets the thruster off, and obviously that burns the alien. The alien flies out of the thruster, and that is the end of our antagonist for this movie, the xenomorph. With the alien burned to a crisp, Ripley returns to inside of the ship. With all that said and done, Ripley sheds her war gear, aka a spacesuit, gets back into her incredibly small underwear and her tank top. She grabs the cat, Jonesy, and she makes a report back to Earth or the command or whatever. She says in this report that all of her other crewmates are extremely dead, and then signs off as the last survivor of the whatever this ship was called. I can't remember anymore. The movie ends with Ripley sleeping peacefully in her cryopod, I assume with Jonesy sleeping in the other one, also peacefully. And the ship is on autopilot, hopefully back to Earth. And hopefully she doesn't end up in somewhere that's not Earth in another movie. But with that said, that is the end of the movie. This is the end of my face. Please hold. Alien is an incredibly slow movie, but also an incredibly good movie. If you have the attention span for it, you will enjoy it. I'm just barely there now that I'm an adult. I could not watch this when I was younger, but I got through it as an adult. Mostly because I watched Alien Romulus when that came out. I will be covering that eventually. Let me get to the rest of the list. I watched Alien Romulus when that came out. I loved that so much that I had to understand the lore, so I went back and watched all of the movies just so I could understand the last movie. Yeah, anyway. I love Alien, I love the franchise, and I love Ripley. Even though I definitely love Sigourney Weaver for a completely different reason that is not Alien, but involves aliens. Shout out Avatar. The second one made me cry so bad. This is the look. I had no vision at all. No idea. I just started doing stuff. Near the end, I added some green in my inner corner just because, like, Alien. The whole rest of the look is pink, inner corner is green. I don't care. I just don't. As usual, I look pretty and beautiful and gorgeous and beautiful and pretty. And watch Alien, bro. Watch Alien Romulus specifically. Wait until you see the creature at the end. Just no spoilers, just wait until, yeah, anyway. With that said, there's really nothing else to say. We're at the end of the video, which, glasses. With that said, there's nothing else really to say. We're just at the end of the video now, which of course means it's my job to tell you. Don't forget to check me out. If you watch this video and you like it, check out my other videos. I have 2 playlists. One of them has all of my Glam Gore videos, so if you like this one, check out all my other ones. My other playlist is my full face of first impressions, which I never say correctly and I never correct myself. And I refuse to let you correct me either. That's rude. And I have other videos that don't go on those playlists. Check those out too. Those are pretty cool. Just saying, if you want to support me in any other way, you can check my description where you can see my Cashapp if you ever just want to send me a couple dollars. It's not mandatory, but it'd be nice. My birthday's coming up. It's March. It's Pisces season. My birthday's the 18th. If anybody just wants to, like, make me happy, just saying. Also, my Instagram is in there. I try my best to post on there. I'm trying. Also, my email is in there. Just in case a brand ever sees me and they want to, email me or whatever. I don't know. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. You guys don't comment often, but when you do, I love reading them. Check out my shorts. I try to post them every day, but I've been forgetting lately because it's a lot to remember in a day where you have to work. Wow, Anyway, do all that stuff. If you subscribe, make sure that your account is public so I can list you off at the beginning of my videos, or sometimes halfway through the video because I forgot. With that said, that brings us to the end of the video, which of course means that I do not have an outro, I never do have an outro, I probably never will have an outro. At this point, not having an outro is my outro, however.
Hello, my baby, hello, my honey, hello, my ragtime gal. Send me a kiss, my wine. Baby, my heart's on fire.